What's going on, guys? Agent Jim Shorts coming at you here with another video for Yins today. If you haven't been able to tell yet, I love Spider-Man. I can't get enough of the character, and I'm very opinionated about his future. Tom Holland may just be the best live-action version of Peter Parker that we've ever seen portrayed on screen, but could he secretly be leading to the demise of the MCU? Let's get into it. I can almost guarantee that the majority of you can't believe that I'm insulting Tom Holland's Spider-Man. You can't even believe that I think it's a bad thing for the MCU. And I will preface this discussion by saying I love how Tom Holland has portrayed Peter Parker. Again, he's probably my favorite version of Spider-Man to grace the big screen. So then you may ask, why do I think he could eventually lead to the downfall of the MCU? Well, let's take a look at some of the history and see what I'm talking about. Spider-Man has always been an incredibly popular character since his inception in 1962 when Stan Lee created him. He wanted Peter to be very down-to-earth and relatable. While Superman seemed like a god, Spider-Man seemed like a guy you might meet at school or at the office. He was the everyman, the person a kid could look up and say, "Hey, I want to be like Spider-Man. I could be him." While his problems sometimes did involve saving the world, they were also real and relatable to things like getting your schoolwork done, dealing with the death of a loved one, keeping your job to pay the bills, and so on. At the time of his creation, not many superheroes were this down-to-earth. That made Spider-Man an instant hit, and this mentality of Spider-Man being the everyman has continued to this day. With that understanding out of the way, we need to now understand when Spider-Man doesn't work. Spider-Man is a character that can be difficult to write for a long-term basis. He's always in trouble and is always struggling in his personal life. This is intrinsically part of Peter's ethos and really grounds him as a character, but it can leave writers in a slump. You can only keep Peter down and as the underdog for so long until it seems like you're just playing out the same story over and over and over again. Peter fell on bad luck. Peter works hard to fix personal things when all of a sudden a supervillain attacks, making him have to juggle saving people and maintaining his personal life. It's a very compelling template, and I think we saw it played out fairly well in Homecoming and Far From Home. But as I said, writers tend to get stuck in a rut over time with Spider-Man, being the underdog and then overcoming it, or they will do something different. Now, doing something different isn't necessarily a bad thing. This can lead to some crazy awesome stories like Spider-Verse, Spider-Man PS4, or The Superior Spider-Man. So, mixing things up in the Spider-Man formula can clearly work. But there is one trope that Marvel seems to try a lot, especially of late, and it doesn't really work for me. And that trope is making your friendly neighborhood and down-to-earth Spider-Man an amazingly well-connected corporate mogul. I know that may sound odd, and it's not the easiest thing to explain out of context. But never fear, Agent Jim Shorts is here and has some lovely cases to show you. Our first case study is the recent run of the Amazing Spider-Man comics and the sad case of Parker Industries. Parker Industries was created in the story where Doc Ock had control of Peter Parker's body and was living his life. Being a narcissistic genius, he did some shady things and started a company based off of Peter's name. The company steadily grew until it was an empire rivaling Stark Industries. As the story went on, Peter eventually got Doc Ock out of his body and regained control of his life. But upon his return to his body, he found himself the head of a huge company that had his name on the building. So he decided to keep it around and use it for good. This seems like a logical move, right? Well, yeah. But from a story perspective, it slowly started to erode the character of Peter Parker. As the story went on, he slowly became less Peter Parker and more Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark. The character erosion we see here is prevalent throughout the story, and eventually the writing team made Parker Industries fail so that they could bring Spider-Man down a few pegs and allow him to again be the underdog. Now, it could be argued that this was the plan all along, but I assert it doesn't matter. For months and years of comics, Peter Parker was a ghost of himself. I think it really hurt the narrative and what made him such an integral part of the comics. Our last case study is that of the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show. Now, do not get this confused with the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. They are two completely different things, in tone and direction. The comics are arguably some of the most significant comic book stories of the last 20 years, and the TV show is a fun time on the Disney Channel designed to sell toys. But anyway, the show is pretty fun to start, and it brings in a lot of fun characters over time. It has a lighter tone and it was aimed at a younger audience. And in the beginning, it was decent. But as time went on, the show started to add more and more characters, and Spider-Man became an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. with $1 million motorcycle, web shooters, and armor. This seemed kind of fun at first, and Disney was very happy because they got to license more toys with all these new characters and suits. But after a while, there came a point when it was like, wait, what even is this show? Peter Parker isn't a super spy. He's a high school kid who tries to save anyone and everyone regardless of how convenient it is for him. Instead, This show chose to go with flash over substance. They chose to add more fun things for Peter to play with and more financial backing than the White House gets to fund all of his over-the-top outings. The wall crawler we know and love somehow got lost in the middle of this, and the entire show just became a soulless shell of what Spider-Man used to be. So, after looking at all those examples, I bet you can see what I'm getting at. By giving Peter Parker all of Stark's resources in the MCU and having him report to Nick Fury, we essentially skip all of the characterization that is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and instead are making him a super spy agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, there is hope. The upcoming Spider-Man 3 film seems to be Peter running from the law and forcing him to be an underdog again. This could be an amazing opportunity for some great and fun storytelling and really adding to those different stories I mentioned earlier. But my worry is that Marvel will instead lean into this Spider-Man Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. angle, and sooner or later we'll see him flying in a spaceship with Captain Marvel, or fighting aliens with Groot, or who the hell knows what else. My real fear is that we'll lose the grounded humanity we get with Spider-Man and characters like him. I think in this post-Endgame world, Spider-Man plays a pivotal role in allowing us to see the world from a perspective that the average person has. Far From Home showed us what people were doing to deal with the blip, and Homecoming showed us how the aftermath of Avengers 1 affected everyday people in New York City. This view is really needed when the rest of the cast are kings, soldiers, gods, and space pirates. We need that everyman to continue to exist so that it can ground this universe and keep it relatable to viewers. As the MCU expands, they need multiple characters and perspectives, and I'd argue that with the losses suffered after Endgame, the MCU needs a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man now more than ever. If it wants to continue its box office dominance, I think the wall crawler being a grounded and relatable character is crucial to Disney's success. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. If you really did have a good time, please like and subscribe, and maybe check out a few of our other videos that we posted previously. When I was little, my mom bought me this Spider-Man costume and I was so excited, but then I found out it had holes cut in the eyes rather than lenses, and it basically just ruined my entire childhood, and I'm still not over it. I have a $100 Spider-Man costume just because I can, and it's still not good enough for me. I'll never make up for that disappointment. But all is not lost. We have a giveaway today. Yes, a giveaway. We're giving away one very own most powerful item in the universe, the Infinity Gauntlet. You can find it at your local Walmart. I happen to get it at Myers, but same thing. All you have to do to be eligible to win this is like this video, be a subscriber, share the video, and leave me a comment telling me your worst favorite birthday present. Did your mom ever shaft you with that crappy Spider-Man suit? As you know, mine did. But anyway, do all those things and you'll be entered to win this wonderful prize. Stay frosty, guys.